Yes, we've done 10 dogs already. We're going to do our 11th today. This is the one we'll be working on today. He's so cute. The book looks like this on the cover. It's a book by our daughter, Aubrey, and she created all these dogs from animal shelter dogs. She took the pictures and she drew them, and I'm colorizing them for her. So that's what we're doing. We've done a lot of fun dogs. There are 24 pages in the book and 12 different designs. So you get a duplicate of each dog. Okay, so the last dog we did, I believe, was this one. I think that's the last one we did. Trying to remember. Yeah, I think this is the last one we did, and I will go ahead and glue this on a block. This is what I was wanting to glue it on. I've already sealed my block, so I'll go ahead and put some glue down and get him going on the block. We're going to be using PVA glue. That's my glue of choice when I glue my pieces down, and I don't use Mod Podge. I don't know. I just haven't gotten into that, I guess. I use PVA glue, which is a bookbinder's glue. And we'll be putting this glue down. And it kind of comes through this nozzle pretty slowly. So anyway, you want to be somewhat generous. You want your glue to be able to be swiped all the way across. Hi, Cheryl. How are you doing today? Glad to see you too. Happy Thursday. It's a hot day here in Western Washington. We've got, for us, it's hot. It's probably like in the 80s. I know for some of you, that's probably cool. A cool day. Okay, so I just want enough to go from edge to edge. So put a lot there. And then you can take, I have like this little squeegee I use, or you could take a credit card. If I can find my squeegee. I put it back. Hold on, I gotta figure out where I put it. It's hiding from me. Okay, there it is. So yeah, I just use a little rubber squeegee that I can kind of press down on. Or you, like I said, you could use a credit card, an old credit card or old room key. But you want it to go from edge to edge, and you want it generous enough that you can do that. So I'm just spreading it all over my wood block. You can just put your wood piece or your watercolor paper piece in a frame if you prefer. You can always do that. It's just kind of fun to have options. Okay, so we'll put our little guy here. I thought he turned out really good. He's a cute one. So I just take my finger and tap, 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 and it will keep soaking up the glue because the watercolor paper is porous. It will just start soaking up the glue. And as it soaks up the glue, it will start bending the paper. It's 101 where you're at, Cheryl. It feels like 112. Oh, man. Yeah, that's rough. Rough. Oh, I was just looking at the dog when I said rough. It made me laugh. Anyway, are you doing okay, Cheryl, though? Do you have good air conditioning keeping you cool? I sure hope so. Okay. You want to make sure that as you're doing this tapping that you're not getting any glue coming up on the top of your piece from your fingers. You can also just put a piece of saran wrap over that. I think I will do that. That always helps. Have a little bit of saran wrap. Get a piece for myself here. Okay. Kind of helps so that you don't get it on the top of your piece. It takes a little bit for the glue to really set hold with your paper. So you just got to be patient while you go through this process of gluing. So you just keep doing that, tapping it down. Eventually it goes down really nicely and it becomes part of your wood. It really does. Just so nice, not even to see any bubbles or anything. That's why I really like PVA glue. It's not hard to work with, and it's as long as you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy. And the good thing is you can always come back to this video and watch it, watch the rerun, and see it again if you want to see how to do this. So Cheryl says, "Oh yes, the air conditioner is running nonstop. We just stay inside or in the pool. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think if I was, where it was really hot, I'd want a pool too, or go to the pool a lot for sure. When we were growing up in California, that's what we did. We went to the pool. We went to the pool for swimming lessons. We went to the pool for open swim, and it was an outdoor pool, so it was really fun. I always enjoyed going to the pool. Okay, I'm going to keep letting that just settle in. It takes a little bit for it to settle in to gluing to the wood, and I'll show you some of the other pieces we've done. So I showed you this one, and then this one is glued to the back. I would still need to sand this, so I might even do that today just to show you how to get it sanded so that it's all nice and flush with your piece of wood. And this is a nice way to use your wood so that you could just flip it over whatever you want. Um, I've got also these thinner panels that you can glue to. So these also need to be sanded. I need to do that. You can see he's really cute. And then this side, cute guy on the other side. And we have a few that haven't not been glued yet. So we got this cutie, this guy, happy fellow, another happy guy. They're all happy. So anyway, it's so fun. If you have the book and not sure what to do or where to start, just follow all the videos that we have here for this dog book. There's several videos up, so you just search through the videos. Okay, it's almost down for good. You just want to make sure it's not going to shift. You want it nice and, just like it's hanging on there. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. They're so fun. Have you been working on any of these, Cheryl, with me? Okay, let's see. We might be there. Pull that up, make sure it's kind of shifted to the left a little bit. So, okay, just make sure that you don't see any wood on the sides, on the edges. And then you can go around the edges and just make sure you don't have any excess glue oozing out. You can just wipe that off, any excess glue. And then it just kind of takes care of itself. If you put it under some heavy books, make sure it's not going to shift. You can put this back on and then put it under something heavy and you're good to go. And then next time you see it in a few hours, then it will be nicely glued and you can do your sanding. Okay, I'll show you what I got here for sanding. I've got two different sanders. I got a heavy duty sander. You can see it almost looks like asphalt. It's so heavy duty. And then I have a finer sander, and we do sell those in kits. So, okay, I start out with my heavy duty, and I'm just going to knock off that little piece of watercolor paper that's right on the edge there, just that overlap. And having the heavy duty is nice for this because the watercolor paper is really thick. We use the 140 weight watercolor paper. And I work at an angle, so I'm not like sanding everything on the wood. I don't want to totally knock down the wood too. Just kind of on the corner there. And it gets pretty dusty. So you're just knocking off that overlap. Feel there. Okay. And then we'll switch to the next side. Now we're going to go back in with a finer sander. So this is just kind of getting that overlap off. And then we'll go in and do it nicely. Oh, good, Cheryl. I'm so glad. I'll tell my daughter too. She'll be so happy. And Aubrey is actually working with our social media now. So she's doing all our social media posts. It's been really fun to see her do her thing because she's so talented and she's delving into something. I mean, she's that generation that grew up with social media. So she gets it. But she's also like delving into this talent that maybe she didn't realize she had. So that's kind of fun to watch. It's definitely a skill. Okay, I'm just going around all the edges here. And if you do this while your paper's kind of still wet from the glue, then you're going to rip and tear at your paper. So really be thoughtful about that. Don't rip and tear at your paper. Make sure it's nice and dry. Okay, make sure you get that whole overlap. Okay, I think I got it good. All right, now I want to go in. So I'm going to put this one aside. I'm going to go with my finer sander and just fine tune that sanding, make it look a little better. You can also do a little bit on the sides of your block. And I like to kind of rough up the corners a little bit. Make it nice and round around the corners. Just do a little fine tuning with your lighter sander. Yeah, this is just a little set that you can purchase on our website. It works really well for what we do. I always like to check with my thumb to see if I have any like leftover burrs or anything like that I need to knock off with my sandpaper. Okay. All righty. Okay, we got a little bit of leftover sanding here that we need to get off. So I'm going to dust that off with my duster brush. Make sure I get it all off here. Now to finish it, you could just leave it the same, just the wood color if you wanted. But I'm talking about the sides of the block. You could leave it like that. Or you could take a color and from your design and paint it Or you could even do one that's not from the design. Like you could do a blue or a red or a gold on the edges. I've even seen people glue scrapbook paper on the edges. That's always fun. You could do a design. I like to do a softer color and then go over with another softer color with a stencil. I like to stencil the edges, like a decorative stencil that would make sense. Maybe little paw prints, that would be cute. Okay, I'm gonna clean up my area here. I always have a trash can in my studio nearby. And so I can get all the trash put away. Nothing is worse than being surrounded by trash. So stuff that needs to be thrown away. Okay, I'm gonna put that aside and we'll get our book out here. Gonna be working on this guy. He's adorable. So I'm gonna rip him out. You do have the choice. You can take him out or you can leave it in your book, whatever suits your fancy. Just remember, it is a 4x4 piece that you can frame, you can glue on a block. You also have this panel in the back that let's see, let me find it. There's a panel on the back that you can snap off and you can use as your panel to glue your piece to, and then just display it on an easel that comes with the kit. All right. I'm just going to show these guys here for a second because I got to look at my computer and make sure I have my colors right. We have a list of colors that we're using for this book, and it's just a few colors, but I just kind of wanted to keep the palette the same so that we're not having to buy a lot of extra things, right? So I'm just going to double check, make sure I have my colors right. Okay, so if you go to our website and you go to Erika Joanne Live on YouTube, that is at the top of the shop tab. There's a tab at the top called shop, and the first choice is Erika Live on YouTube. If you go to that, then you'll see the watercolor book for the pups and portraits. Click on that and it will take you to that main page for this book. And if you scroll down to the bottom of that main page, it gives you your palette. And these are the colors that I used, and then some of your basic supplies. Okay, so let's get this guy going. I'm going to start out with a kind of a watercolor look to begin with, and then we'll go into our color pencils. Hi there, Kathy. Hello from Tennessee. Yes, we are doing the fall book, and we've already done one, Cheryl, to answer your question. We've already done one project from the fall book, so we'll just keep working on it through that book the same. But I am taking a few weeks off, so just FYI, our daughter's having a baby. So, okay, let's start out with Brown Earth. That color, I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't find it. I know it's right here. Brown Earth, there you are. No burnt umber. Okay, that might have been used up, so I'm gonna get a new tube. Brown Earth. Okay, so this is Brown Earth. This kind of looks like a a lab to me. Do you guys agree? I'm always like not quite sure, but it kind of looks like a lab with the bigger ears. So I'm thinking of making it like a chocolate lab, like a brown lab. So I'm gonna look at some pictures here. The ones I see, the color is just so pretty. Okay, so let's do a brown lab. We'll start out with brown earth. I'm gonna try to go a little bit lighter so it's not too dark. I need to get my palette paper. Okay. So you just need like a chocolate chip size on your palette. And we're gonna water that down. I'm using a number 3 round. Let's water that down pretty good. And if you see this brown earth has a little bit of a red tone in it. You see that red in there? You want your water, you want your paper. Let's start over. You want your brown to be transparent. See how I can see through the brown on my palette paper? That's how watered down you want it. You want to be able to see through it as you swipe it. I know, Cheryl is so excited. Another one. I can't believe it. It's so great. Okay, so we'll just go straight brown earth. I like that color. And we'll just go ahead and go over everything except for the tongue. Avoid the tongue. So right up to the edge, and you're using the Josanya paints in a watercolor way, and then just avoid the tongue. You can go right up on the ears. I like to start out kind of in the middle of an area and then work my way to the edge of that area so I don't go over the lines. Sometimes you can't help it, you end up going over the lines, but I try not to. And this color is just lush. I love it. Bring it on down and then just avoid the tongue. He's got a fun, he's just happy. He's a little happy pup. Got this fun tongue just coming out of his mouth there. You want to avoid that. Work around it. Okay. And just take your time, work that color around. And it's okay if it's not quite even on your little pup. It's okay. You can see on mine, I have a little unevenness, but that's okay. We work with that. And we might end up with something pretty cool. You just roll with it. Okay. He is happy. He's a happy chappy. Okay, our next color we'll use is rose pink. And like I said, if you want to know what the palette list is, just go to that Pups and Portraits page all the way to the bottom and you'll see the palette that I'm using. So we'll use rose pink. I'm going to put a little warm white in this so that it's not so red or so pink. I want it to be a lighter pink. So warm white to lighten that color a little bit. So another little chocolate chip and that of warm white. Oh. Okay, let's just do a 1-to-1 mix and then um, we'll mix water in that. See what that looks like. Okay, mix some water in. See where we're going to go with this. So get a nice light pink. You want it to be transparent on your palette paper. Make sure you can see through it when you're moving it around. That means you got to be generous with that water. Okay. And then make sure your brown is dry before you start putting your tongue on. You don't want the color to bleed into your brown. And because you have the two different papers of the same dog in your book, you could do them at the same time. In fact, I should be doing mine at the same time. Then you get two done because it goes pretty quickly working on this small little dog. Okay, that's a perfect color for the tongue. Let's lift it up so you can see it better. Not too dark, not too light. Oh, you did, Cheryl? I want to go see. Cheryl says, I posted some pictures from Heather's class at OKC. I was so sad I didn't get to go down in time to take her class. Oh, so you went and took some pictures of her in her class. Okay. Oh, yeah. She had a good group, I thought. She had a nice good class there. So, but I'm sure you're just so happy to meet her. I hope you were able to meet her. She's just a kick. She's so fun. Just love being around Heather. Okay, let's go back in with our brown. We're going to do kind of a double dip. We're going to take that brown and go back in and darken our nose. Let's get another layer on the nose. Okay, like so. And then we'll just let it dry. The eyes are also brown, so let's go in and put a little bit more on those eyes. Okay, the rest we can probably do with the color pencil. I am going to put a little bit more right under this tongue area. Okay. Rinse your brush off, set it aside. And the pencils we'll be using are black, poppy red, sienna brown, maybe cool gray. I don't know. Probably not though. So we got our black. We're going to use that last. The next color would be poppy red. and then we'll use the sienna brown. So poppy red will be our first color we'll use. I know I was looking at some of the OKC pictures and I was like, oh, that looks so fun. But this is just not the year for us. So I wasn't able to go, but we did several years there and it was always so fun. That was a great show. Lots of great fun there. So I'm glad some of you have been able to go. You'll have to tell everyone hi from the free slide in Washington State, from Erika Joanne's team. Tell everyone hi from us. Okay, I'm just making sure my pencils are nice and extra sharp. Okay. And before I go in to work on the watercolor paper with my pencil, I want to make sure everything's nice and dry. So I don't want to rip and pull at my paper because that's really important. You want to make sure everything's nice and dry. And it feels pretty dry, so I'm going to go ahead and do some shading right at the top of the tongue where it meets up with the mouth. And you do your, see, there's a little paper there. You want to make sure it's dry. No, that might have been wet there. Okay, so a little more pressure right up against where the mouth meets the tongue, and then let it fade as it comes down. Oh, okay, now I'm totally reading it. I was reading it wrong. Cheryl. Cheryl said, because I thought you said I posted some pictures from Heather's class, but it says Sandy McTeer posted some pictures from Heather's class. Okay, sorry. Well, that was sure nice of Sandy to do that. She posted pictures from Heather's class at OKC, and then Cheryl said that she couldn't go. Okay, but you're there? I was so sad I didn't get to go down in time to take her class. Oh, maybe you're going a little bit later than her class was. I'm glad you get to go. That's cool. Say hi to Sandy and tell her thank you. Okay, a little more color there. And then there's like this little wonderful fold in that tongue. Don't you think that's so wonderful? And these are like, my daughter did not exaggerate these. She just had fun drawing it from the picture. Look at that big old fold in the tongue. That's so fun. Okay. And then we should have a little shading right here under the tongue. I want this part of the tongue to be lighter in color so that it comes more into the foreground instead of the background. So I want that tip of the tongue to feel like it's in the foreground. So I'm just going to shade underneath there. Okay. Cute. All right. Now we'll go in with our sienna brown and do some kind of progression on this pencil, this piece. So I'm going to start out at the top of the head. We're going to put a little shading right here up at the top. And so this is going to be a little more pressure, getting that dark value in. That's where I'm starting, is with the dark value. A little more pressure there. And then as I come down into the forehead, moving into a circular motion, blending right in from my dark value into my medium value. So I just want that value to lighten up as I come down into the forehead. And then let it fade into the forehead too. So really, really light. You're just using the lightest pressure you can use. And see how I'm working over, reworking. You're constantly layering those colors so that they blend and gradually fade into the background. Okay, we're gonna see where his eyes are. He's got these little cute eyebrows. So there's like a line right there. I'm gonna put some shading right up against that eyebrow and then let it fade as it comes down closer to the eye. We'll do the same on this other eye over here. So it's a little darker where where the forehead meets the eyebrow, right in there. Yeah, I'll have to go check out the pictures. That's so exciting. OKC is a great show. I can't remember what the theme was this year. Is it Halloween? Halloween's a fun time too. Okay, let's go up to the ears before we kind of really get down into the face. Let's go up to the ears. And I'm going to put some shading on the inside of my ear. Meets up with the head here. That's where I'm going to start my shading. So it'll be darkest there. I always start where it's darkest. And let it fade as I come up the ear. And I'm going to go back and add some more layers and soften my shading a little more. Okay. And the other ear too, same way. So I'm kind of keeping the outside, the lighter brown from the paint, and then darker on the inside of the ear. We'll see how this little guy turns out. I'm going to turn my piece because sometimes it's a little easier to shade toward yourself. I'm letting it fade as I go up into the ear. Few layers. Okay. So Cheryl says she's going down tomorrow, just a 5-hour drive. I can go shopping. Oh, that sounds so fun. I saw Cheryl on some other videos that there are a lot of new vendors, some new people on the trade floor. So that's really fun. You'll be able to go shopping in all those booths. That'll be fun. And then you're going to help Kathy McAllister in her class on Saturday. Oh, that's wonderful. And you didn't go down yesterday. You had back surgery yesterday. Oh, oh my goodness, Cheryl. I hope everything's okay. You need a little time to rest. Be very careful with your back, but I'm sure you're so happy. Seems like back surgeries do kind of help with pain and that kind of thing. So that's great. Okay, I'm doing a little shading on the sides of the ears here, just a little bit, just to See, yeah, I'm connected to that. So a little bit here too, both sides of the ears. Okay. He looks pretty serious, doesn't he? He's like, I'm here. It'll get better though. Okay, I'm going to do a little shading at the tip, kind of bring that down into the side of the ear. And on the tip over here too. Okay, so we do have some shading to do down the sides of the nose. And this side kind of has one that's, like the fold is like over here. But I do want you to bring that color kind of to match this side. So we'll just kind of come down and just fill in this area under the eyes with some shading. So there's just lots of little folds going on in there. And then let's bring some of that shading across the top of the nose. Just pull it right across the nose. But you don't have to shade over the whole nose, just a little bit on the edges there. And you can go back and see where some of those areas have a lot of texture. I'm just going back and adding some more layers to soften it a bit. Okay. And then inside the eye, we do have a little line underneath the eye like so. And then let's go ahead and line around the eye itself. And then you can go into the eye and color that too. We'll put some highlighting in a bit. Okay, I'm going to bring that shading around the front of the eye and kind of meet up down underneath the eye like so on both sides. So down the front and then meet up underneath the eye. You leave a little light area around the eye itself. Okay, and then I'm going to also do a little shading down the forehead or the top of the head, just down the center. A little bit of shading on each side of the center coming down. Okay. All right, moving on down. Let's put a line down here underneath the nose. And let's go ahead and shade our nose. You can work on the nostrils. Just fill that area in. It kind of goes out the sides there. Fill that in. And then go ahead and line down the center of the nose like that. And we're going to shade some right at the top of the nose. Bring that down a little bit and then let it fade. And then down at the bottom of the nose, same thing, kind of bring it up and then let it fade. Okay. We're kind of filling a lot of it in with the brown, but we're leaving some open areas to create some highlights there. Okay. Now let's work on both sides. So we're going to shade from the center right here in this mouth area, upper mouth area, shade from the center out. So it's darker at that center mark, and then let it fade as it comes out from there. I'm going to do the same on the other side. You're going to get a lot of texture because you're working with the color pencils over a real textured watercolor paper, but that's okay. Just work with it. I love it myself. I enjoy the texture. I think it makes a piece very charming to see all that texture. Okay. So now I'm going to focus on the sides here, the cheeks. We do need some shading there. So go ahead and line on the sides. Bring your line down and then shade over. So that's your darkest areas right on that line. And then shade over. Okay. I'm going to use my eraser to soften some of that. So, okay. All right. I kind of went a little far right here. So I'm going to soften that side and that side too. Wipe away those pencil crumbs, eraser crumbs. Okay. Okay. Now we want to go dark underneath the mouth area. You'll see it's kind of like the chin, and we'll have a little shading on side inside the mouth, a little bit there, but you want that to be a little lighter. And then pick up the color on the chin. Get the chin dark. Kind of around like that. And then as you are working in the gum area, that can be lighter and not as dark as the chin. Okay. And I think this area needs to be lighter too. So I'm going to erase some of that. I think I'm going to go back in with my pink color and bring some of that pink into the mouth itself. Maybe even out on the gum line a little bit too. And it's okay to do the paint right just right over the pencils. It works. Okay. Now, this is a little difficult because we're just using one color to do our shading right now. We'll bring in the black in a little bit. So right now it just kind of looks like, what is going on with this dog? And for a brown lab, it's a little difficult to get those highlights in too, to make it have some contrast. But go ahead and fill in the chest area You can avoid these little lined areas. See, there's like it almost looks a T type thing. Kind of avoid that, work around it, and that will be one of our highlights there. And then there's also one little area right here, just above that area, the T area, that you can leave lighter too to add some highlights. So we're just getting the color in. This is the funky time where there's not a lot of contrast, and you're wondering what in the heck is going on with this dog. You can see a lot of texture going on too. Okay, bring it down the legs. Okay. Now I'm going to go back in with another layer and create some fine, just a finer look to the background because I'm going to be filling in some of those gaps with my pencil. And just lightly go over those highlighted areas. Fill in some of the gaps with another layer. Layering is really where it's at. It's an amazing thing to do, is just to add another layer. It can really help. Okay, he's coming along. All right, we got this area. Okay. This can be tricky because the line right here, it's very whimsical, but it goes like that and it can make the dog look kind of mad. And the dog's not mad, it's very happy. So you can kind of soften that area a little bit, like so, so it doesn't look so mad. And then let's go in lastly with this color and do a little shading on our tongue. First, go ahead and line in the line there, the line to separate our tongue sections there. And then a little bit of shading right up against the mouth area. Just another layer to deepen the color there. Another here. And I need to sharpen my pencil really bad, but it's getting down there. I need a new sienna brown pencil. I'm down at the final bit. Okay. We might go in with our poppy red just to soften everything. That can really help blend the two colors together. So I'm going to go back in with my poppy red and do a little blending. See how that really, it just helps so much. That's a nice trick to always remember, is to use the first color back over the second color. We're going to put a little bit of red in the gum area. Okay. Okay, we can move on to our black pencil and we'll see what we can do. Make sure you have a nice sharp pencil. Yes, Cheryl. Oh, that's so good. I'm glad you got pain relief. That is, yes, we thank you, Kathy. Kathy is saying, Cheryl, I hope your relief is permanent. It's so hard to keep your back in good shape. Yes, I agree. I hope it's permanent. You don't have to do this again. Okay, I'm working on the eyes first. Just a little line around the outside of the iris. And then we're going to go on the inside of the eyes and put a little pupil in there. You should be able to still see some brown in the eye. We might have to put some of that back in with some paint to just make it nice and contrasted. Okay, go ahead and line around the eye. And put a little bit of black right in this area, right in the corners of the eye. And then let's go ahead and line underneath that little, there's like a little fold right there. Okay. Okay, let's go down to the nose. We'll deepen the color in the nostrils. We'll repeat some of our shading. We don't have to go out as far with the second layer. We're enhancing our shading. Great stuff. Okay. A little bit underneath, enhancing your shading. Get that line in there. Okay. Okay, we're going to deepen the color on this forehead area. We have a line down the center. So you're going to put that in, kind of line the top of the head. Okay, now we'll do some shading on both sides of that line. A little bit on either side. Deepen the color. And we'll go in and work on our ears. So you're going to bring that color around a little bit. Create that head shape. And let's go inside the ears right here. Some soft shading at the bottom of the ears. I'm going to do a little bit more here on the right side of this ear. Okay. A little bit at the tips. And there we be. Okay, that's good for our ears. He's coming along. Okay, I'm gonna make this side a little, just kind of create some little upside down U's. Can you see that? Put those in. Some little upside down U's on the inside area of each eye. So just above the eye, but kind of on the inside. Let's go ahead and shade in that area like so. And then I'm going to bring shading down into the nose, top of the nose, and meet right up with the nose. I'm using my light value to do this, just kind of softly adding some shading in those areas. A little bit on the other side of the eye, right in this area. Okay. And then there's like, I just noticed this, but there's like a triangle, like right in this area. It's pretty light. So you kind of draw out a little triangle. So coming down the sides of his nose, you put a little line there to meet up with the bottom of the nose there. And then right in this area, it's light. Okay. So I'm going to take my eraser and just erase in that area. And then I'm going to shade on the other side of those triangles. So kind of around the triangles. I want to try to get a soft graduation of color there. So just lightly do this. You don't really want to be like, oh, we got to put triangles underneath the eyes. You just want it to be very soft and subtle. But that area is generally, that's the word I'm trying to say, generally lighter right in there. So we'll just kind of shade around that area. All right. Let's see. This area right here does need a little more shading, so I'm going to just shade kind of right above the eyebrows, a little bit more right in here and here. So a little more. I'm going to actually take my brown pencil and do a little more with that too. So grab your brown pencil and just fill in this area right above his eyebrows. Just deepen it. Okay. Back to my black pencil. Okay. And then I'm going to fill in this area right here too, above the nose with a little more brown. All right. Okay, coming down this way, a little more shadow right on this side and this side. In the cheeks area. And I'm going to jump down underneath the nose, Put a little bit of shadowing right in here. I'm going to leave it somewhat lighter right around the bottom of the nose. Okay. Let's add our lines. Mhm. Lines in the tongue. Let's put a little bit of shading in that fold and then a little bit of line work. Let your lines skip along so it's not too crazy. But that really brings some contrast to your tongue there. Okay. And then you have the gum line, you know how it has some little curves in it? You can go ahead and line those in. And shade underneath them. Okay. This is always a challenge to colorize these dogs. So here we go. We are just in the challenge. We'll see how it turns out. Okay. Now we'll move down underneath. I'm going to leave just a little border line around my chin so that my chest doesn't get lost inside my chin because otherwise it would. Just a little highlight there. It's leaving a little border. Then we'll come down and I'm just coloring over our brown area, but not totally covering up the brown. So I want to see some of that brown coming through. And I'm going really nice and dark right back here over by the chin. So underneath this chin on the body, nice and dark there. So you can create that contrast. Move this. My hand keeps sticking to it. Okay. And then bring your color down. We have that like little T section. We're going to try to avoid some of that. Work around it. And then bring the color down the leg. And you can line around the legs and do your shading on the sides and then lighter on the top. So it's a little darker on the edges. Okay. I think I might end up going over this with my paint again because I'm feeling like it would soften things and bring everything together. So, and then we'll go in and highlight what we need to highlight. But this is a good start. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of feeling like it needs more paint. Okay. A dark dog is not always easy to do. But we're going to go back in. I'm going to, and you can do this. You can totally mix your wax based pencil with paint. So I'm going to take my brown earth again, water it down. So we're just going to do a light layer over what we've done. We don't want it, we want it to be transparent. So we don't want it to cover up and nullify what we've done, just to soften it. And make sure you have a paper towel with you, just in case you want to take up some of that color. But I can see it already that it's improving. Do you see it? It's just softening those colors together. I'm leaving that light area under the eye. We're going to go up into the ear. This is the beauty of working with both paint and colored pencil together. I absolutely, actually going to go over that just a tad. I absolutely love it. Okay. I'm working around the tongue. I'm going over my highlights, but because they are highlights, they still show up. Yeah. Okay. Just a little bit more left to do. We'll put our highlights in, and then we'll be done for today. Okay. Oops, one place I forgot right there. There. Okay. And I left my tongue. Didn't want to put any on my tongue. Okay, so you can see there's some highlights there, but we definitely need more. And so we're going to do that with a little more paint. I'm actually going to darken this part of the ear a little more. A happy little lab. I think it's a lab. I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, so let's let that dry a little bit. We'll go in with some highlights. Now I want to, let's see, I want to make sure I got the right palette here. I was thinking, let's see, we can use brown earth. We got that. We got Naples yellow hue and warm white. And I'm not sure. I might just go with the brown earth and warm white and see what I get with that. So how about 1 to 1? Brown earth, warm white. Let's do 2 to 1. So 2 parts warm white, 1 part brown earth. You get kind of like a almost like a bisque color. It's probably a little darker than the bisque, but that seems like it will work okay. So I'm using the same brush round. I want to do my just a little bit of stroking here and there with some highlights. So a little bit of paint on your brush, and you can go from there. So let's see. Look at my reference photo. The eyes. There's a little bit of a highlight right here underneath the eyes. So we can kind of brighten that a little bit. And then it also goes slightly around the top of the eye too. So like in the eyelid area, you could use a liner brush if you want. It's like that. A little bit around the eye. And then let's go ahead and add more of a highlight inside the eye. So that iris area, just work around the pupil. I have a trick for that in a little bit, but we'll soften that a little bit. Okay, so just leave that for now, and then we'll put some highlights on the nose, just this area, the top of the nose. Leave some of that line, that middle line, and then bring it down a little bit around the nostril, each nostril there. And then I'm going to add a little bit more on the left side. Okay. And then some underneath. Okay, got some right here. Really make that nice and bright right underneath the nostril. Okay, and then there's some underneath the nose too. A little bit of a highlight underneath. And then bring that highlight down slightly, like that, in this mouth area. Like so. Okay, we're going to put a little highlight right up here on the top of his eyebrows. Just to accentuate that area. Okay, how about a little more on the top of the head? Right in this area here. And then his ears, so a little bit of a highlight on the ear. It's like the sun is coming down this way. Actually, it'll be coming down this way a little bit more. Okay. He's coming together. It's taken a little bit, but he's coming together. Okay, let's see here. A little bit more right here. I'm going to come in with a lighter color, I think. All right, let's do a little bit on his chin, coming around. And then this little T mark down here. And then let's bring a little bit on this side, his shoulder. And how about the top of his leg? Okay, let's add some more warm white. Just keep your brush dirty and you can add more warm white to it. So I have my dirty brush. I'm going to just mix a little warm white with that dirty brush and lighten up that color. And we'll go back in and add some, just brighten our highlights a little more. You can take off some of that paint so you get kind of like that scratchy look. If you go very gently over the surface, you'll get kind of a scratchy look going on. And you're just going to touch some of those highlights that you've already done. Just to brighten them. I'm going to add a little more on those eyelids. And on his shoulder. Okay. Now back to those eyes. Let's take a wash of our brown earth and we're going to go over those irises again just to deepen the brown. So he has nice brown eyes. And I'm going to slightly go over the highlights on around his eyes so that it just softens it a little more. Let's see. Let's put a little on the tongue in the upper section. Okay, I'm gonna just stop with maybe some real nice bright highlights with the warm white and call it good. He was a tricky one. He was challenging for sure. I'm gonna put some on the tongue. He's so cute though. He's happy. A little bit on the nose. When you do these bright highlights, you keep them very conservative, but you can add them here and there to some of your highlights that you did previously. And I might put a little bit right here. And I want a little eye highlight. Okay. And he needs more black in his eyes. So I'm going to find my pencil. Let's finish that off. A little more black in the eyes. Get those pupils nice and a lot bigger. Softens the eye up more. Okay. Well, that's as good as I can do today. I don't know. I could probably foo-foo with this again and keep working at it, but yeah, he was a tricky one. I don't know, maybe if I did it in a lighter color, it might have been a little easier, but doing that chocolate, lab look was a little more tricky getting those highlights in. But I hope you learned something and I hope you had fun and yeah, just keep trying. Keep coloring, keep trying. It's really, really fun to use both paint and color pencil together. It's so great. All right. Well, I got to go. I got to get back to work. I have some subscription boxes that are really needing my attention. So I'm going to go do that right now. But you guys take care. Have a wonderful weekend. And it was so fun to paint and pencil with you again. And I'm going to just show you this piece that we left drying while we were doing our painting. And you can see it is really taken shape. So it'll be ready to sand here soon. And then I can have another one in the books. This one we just sanded today and it came out so nice. So just need some paint on the edges. All right, you guys, have a wonderful weekend. We will see you again. Toodaloos.